Hello everyone. Today we shall read about impact of population change and demographic transition theory. Remember, we have been learning about the world population, its distribution, density and growth. Now let us start. Impact of population change. A small increase in population is desirable in a growing economy. However, population growth beyond a certain level leads to problems. Out of these problems, the depletion of resources is the most serious one. Population decline is also a matter of concern. It indicates that resources that had supported a population earlier are now insufficient to maintain the population. Okay, so a small increase in population is desirable for the growth of the economy. However, if the growth is beyond a certain level, that means if there is rapid growth in the population, then this will lead to certain problems, and out of these problems the most serious one is the depletion of the resources, that is the overutilization of the resources. And another point is that population decline, that is decrease in the number of population, is also a matter of concern. This is also a problem. So decline in population indicates that resources that had supported a population earlier are now insufficient to maintain the population. So this is happening in some regions of the world where the resources are depleted, and because of that shortage of food supply is there, and as a result there is decline in the population. The deadly HIV/AIDS epidemics in Africa and the Commonwealth of Independent States and Asia have pushed up death rates and reduced the average life expectancy. This has slowed down population growth. So the deadly HIV/AIDS epidemics in Africa and some part of CIS, that is Commonwealth of Independent States, and Asia have accelerated the death rates and reduced the average life expectancy. Here, Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS, actually this is a regional intergovernmental organization of 9 members plus 2 founding non-member post-Soviet republics in Eurasia. And this CIS was formed following the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. There was a country known as USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, before 1991, and after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in the year 1991, this CIS has been formed. So some of these member countries of this CIS are this Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Ukraine. Okay, and so here in these regions of the world, HIV/AIDS epidemics occurred, and as well as in African countries also, and that is why death rate has been pushed up, has been increased, and consequently there was reduced in the average life expectancy. So life expectancy, as you know, this is an expected time to live as calculated on the basis of statistical probabilities. So life expectancy means an expected time to live by someone. So because of these epidemics, so life expectancy in these regions has been reduced, and that is why the growth of population has slowed down in these regions of the world. So from this we have known that change in the population, whether positive or negative, has an impact, has a consequence. Okay. Next we have demographic transition. Let us read. Demographic transition theory can be used to describe and predict the future population of any area. Let me repeat. Demographic transition theory can be used to describe and predict the future population of any area, of any country. The theory tells us that the population of any region changes from high births and high deaths to low births and low deaths as the society progresses from rural, agrarian and illiterate to urban, industrial and literate society. And these changes occur in stages which are collectively known as demographic cycle. Okay, so this demographic transition theory tells us that population of any region, population of any country changes from high births and high deaths to low births and low deaths as society progresses from rural, agrarian and illiterate to urban, industrial and literate society. So with the change of the time, okay, any population of a country will pass through from high birth to high deaths to low birth and low deaths. And the society also progresses from the agrarian, that is agricultural economy, to urban industrial economy, from illiterate society to literate society, from uneducated society to educated society. And these changes occur in stages which are collectively known as demographic cycle. And here in our book we have 3-stage model of demographic transition theory. Not only this, we have 4-stage model as well as 5-stage model. So we have this 3-stage model. Okay, figure number 2.3 explains the 3-stage model in the demographic transition theory. Okay, so here we have this figure, okay, depicting about the demographic transition theory in 3 stages. Before we start, let us see. The society changes from rural, agrarian, agricultural economy to urban, industrial, literate society with the change of time, and this is known as demographic transition. Okay, and here we have the figure number 2.3, okay, telling about the demographic transition theory. Now let us read the stages. So the first stage has high fertility and high mortality, because people reproduce more to compensate for the deaths due to epidemics and a variable food supply. So in the first stage there is high fertility, that is high birth rate, and high mortality, that is high death rate, because people reproduce more to compensate for the deaths due to epidemics and a variable food supply. So due to shortage of food supply and due to epidemics, due to diseases, okay, due to these highly communicable diseases, the death rate is very high. And to compensate the death, okay, people reproduce more children, okay, to compensate the loss. And that is why during this stage there is high birth and a high death rate, and that is why the population growth is slow. And most of the people are illiterate, okay, and engaged in agriculture, where large families are NSA. So people in this society think that large families are NSA, okay, because the society is this less developed, there is low technology, okay, and uneducated, and they think that this large number of population is an asset. And in the stage 1, life expectancy is low, that there is a lifespan, okay, lifespan of a person is low, and people are mostly illiterate as mentioned earlier, and have low levels of technology. So in stage 1 there is low levels of technology, okay, and 200 years ago all the countries of the world were in this stage. So this is about this stage 1. So let us see this diagram here. This is, okay, from here to here, this is about stage 1. Okay, so this is the stage 1, and here you will be seeing that in stage 1 this birth rate and the death rate is very high. See here, it is interlocking here, coincided. So here the birth rate is also almost 35 per thousand, and the death rate is also almost 35 per thousand. That means both the birth rate and the death rate are high in stage 1, and that is why there is low population growth, okay. And here we have present world examples: Bangladesh and rainforest tribes. So these countries and regions are in the stage 1 in the present day world, okay. Bangladesh is in the stage 1 of demographic transition theory. And next we have this second stage. Fertility remains high in the beginning of second stage. Birth rates remains high in the beginning of the second stage, but declines with time, and this is accompanied by reduced mortality rate. So it is followed by this reduced death rate. This is because there is improvement in the sanitation and health conditions, okay. Improvements in sanitation and health conditions lead to decline in the mortality rate, that is the death rate. And because of this gap, the net addition to population is high. That means during the second stage we have rapid population growth, okay, because here in this stage the death rate is declined considerably due to improvements in sanitation and health conditions. However, the birth rate remains high, and that is why we have got a big gap between the birth rate and the death rate, as shown here, as shown in this diagram. Here this is stage 2, and in the stage 2 we have expanding population, okay, that is there is rapid increase in population. And see here, so this line shows the birth rate, and this line shows the death rate, and you are seeing that the birth rate remains high, okay, whereas the death rate declines considerably, okay, it is going down. And that is why we have got a big gap, okay, we have got a big gap between the this birth rate and the death rate in this way, okay. We have got a big gap between the birth rate and the death rate, and that is why there is rapid increase in the population. And countries in the stage 2 of demographic transition in the present day world are Peru, then Sri Lanka and Kenya. So these countries are in the stage 2 of the demographic transition in the present day world. And next we have the third stage, the last stage. In the last stage, both fertility and mortality decline considerably. So in the third stage, both the birth rate and the death rate decline considerably, and the population is either stable or grows slowly. The population becomes urbanized, literate, and has high technical know-how, and deliberately controls the family size. Okay, so due to this development in technology, and the society becomes literate and urbanized. Okay, and different these birth control measures are implemented, and that is why the birth rate is declined considerably. At the same time, the death rate is also declined considerably because of the improvement in the medical and the sanitation facilities, as we have seen in this diagram. So in this diagram here, this is stage 3. Okay, this is stage 3, and here we have low fluctuating, that is, see here in this case both the birth rate and the death rate remains low, and see here here it is around 15. Okay, the birth rate is also around 15 per thousand, and the death rate is also about 15 per thousand. That means both the birth rate and the death rate are very low, and that is why the population grows slowly or sometimes stable, and in some countries a negative population growth is there in this stage. And here we have examples of this Canada, then Japan, USA. So these countries are in the stage 3 of the demographic transition in the present day world. Remember, in the last stage, both the fertility and mortality decline considerably, and therefore the population grows very, very slowly, and the population becomes urbanized, literate, and has high technical know-how, and deliberately the size of the population is controlled. So this shows that human beings are extremely flexible and are able to adjust their fertility. Okay, when human beings are educated and when technology is developed, then human beings are adjusted, okay, naturally, and control the growth of the population. So this is about demographic transition theory, and in the present day different countries are at different stages of demographic transition, as we have seen the example. And we have one more map here representing the different stages of demographic transition. So see the index here, and here this one, the darkest shades indicates countries experiencing the modern demographic regime. Okay, see here countries like this Australia, then China, then Russia, then all the European countries, then Canada and the USA. All these countries are in the modern demographic regime. And here the second one here, this color, okay, shows countries in demographic transition. And here this South Africa, then this Algeria, Sudan, Egypt, okay, Northern African countries, then most of the countries of Latin America, then India, okay. So all these are in the demographic transition. And the remaining one, the lightest one here, okay, the lightest set is shown here. These sets represents the countries experiencing the primitive demographic regime. So most of the African countries here, then Arabian countries, okay, here these some Islamic countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, and so all these countries are in the primitive demographic regime. So in this way, the demographic regime is different from place to place. That means different countries are at different stages of demographic transition. And next we have these population control measures. Here family planning is the spacing or preventing the birth of children. So how to control the growth of this population? So family planning is one of the most important measures to control population. So family planning is the spacing or preventing of the birth of children. So spacing here means the time between occurrences of a repeating event. So here spacing means the time between the birth of these children. Okay, so there we must give a gap, a big gap between the children. That is what called spacing of children. Okay, spacing of these birth of children. And access to family planning services is a significant factor in limiting the population growth and improving these women's health. So access to family planning services is a significant factor in limiting, means in controlling the population growth and in improving the women's health. Okay, so implementation of family planning is one of the most important measures in limiting the population growth and in improving the women's health. Okay, so what to do? For this we need propaganda, then free availability of these contraceptives, and tax incentives for large families are some of the measures which can help population control. Okay, so contraceptive pills and other devices, okay, must be available to each and everyone at affordable prices. Okay, and one more thing is that these tax incentives, here these incentives means something which discourages people from behaving or acting in a particular way. Say for example, high marginal tax rates may act as a disincentive. Okay, that means these families having a big these members, okay, families having a large number of members, okay, must be discouraged. Some kind of these taxes or fines may be imposed for the big families. So these are some of the measures which can help population control. Okay, and last of all we have this Thomas Malthus view about population. Okay, what we call Malthusian theory. So let us read. Thomas Malthus, in his theory in 1798, stated that the number of people would increase faster than the food supply. Okay, Thomas Malthus. Okay, so this is Thomas Malthus. Okay, an English economist and a demographer, and so this is his great work. Okay, this is his great work, an essay on the principle of population. So this is the title of his work, an essay on the principle of population. So in this essay he explained about the distribution of he explains about the relationship between the population and distribution of resources. So let us read. So according to Thomas Malthus, the number of people would increase faster than the food supply. So according to him, as you are seeing here, okay, as you are seeing in this diagram, this is what we call the Malthusian catastrophe, and here you will see that the population grows exponentially, and production of food, okay, increases this arithmetically. Okay, as you are seeing here, see here, and here this line shows okay, represents production of food, and it indicates that the food supply increases arithmetically, okay, in a linear mode, as you are seeing here in this graph, whereas the population increases exponentially, that is geometrically, okay, as you are seeing here, geometrically. Okay, and any further increase would result in a population crash caused by famine, disease, and war. So if there is further increase in population, this would lead to population crash caused by famine, that is shortage of food, then disease and war. Okay, just see here, if you cross beyond this line, okay, if there is a further increase in the population, then there will be population crash, okay, caused by the shortage of food and caused by diseases or by war. Okay, because of shortage of food, there may be wars also between the countries or among the these groups. Okay, so the preventive checks are better than the physical checks. For the sustainability of our resources, the world will have to control the rapid population increase. So these are the views of Thomas Malthus. Okay, and here let us repeat. According to Thomas Malthus, the number of people would increase faster than the food supply. The number of people would increase faster than the food supply, as we have learned earlier that the number of people will be increased exponentially or geometrically, whereas food supply increases arithmetically or in a linear mode. Okay, and any further increase in the population, okay, would result in a population crash caused by famine, disease, and war, and it is therefore preventive checks are better than the physical checks. And for the sustainability of our resources, okay, the world will have to control the rapid population increase. So these are his views regarding population growth in the world. as you are seeing here. Okay, here here as you are seeing here, the growth of the population is increases rapidly, exponentially, and food supply increases, okay, arithmetically, like 1 2 3 4 5 6, and whereas the population increases 1 2 4 8 16 and so on. Okay, it increases exponentially, and that is why there is a limit. When it crosses the limit, when the population growth crosses the limit, then there will be crash in the population. That means there will be decline in the population, okay, which will be checked by these diseases. The decline in population may be due to shortage of food, or due to wars among the nation, or due to the deflation of resources, okay, or due to diseases. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining my class.